Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're having a look at some more figures I've bought in, and they're from Steelfist Miniatures. You can see on the email, the website, whatever there. This is pack F11, their English Civil War 15mm range. I've got a couple other small packs as well. I just did these as a test buy, really, see what the figures were like. There's a guy called Little Lances on here on YouTube, and he likes the smaller scales. And he got some of the he's been showing his painted 15mm English Civil War collection, which are from Steelfist Miniatures. And I resisted for at least at least a month, and I must admit I'd seen them a while before, where people have put them up on blogs and things like that. So I knew roughly what they were like, but his painting was very nice, or is very nice, and really showed them off to good effect. Apologise for the grubby nails, but I just had a quiet moment, so I thought I'd get these up. So these, as you can see, are wearing the Montrero caps, Monterio or Montrero, which is like a soft cap. I believe the ears could come down as ear warmers. I'm not 100%, but I believe that might be the case. These are unarmoured pike unit or an infantry unit, so they've got pike and muskets. This is around 1643, I believe. King Charles I's army in Oxford was got new uniforms, more or less. They weren't really that uniformed before that, and I think basically the main colours were blue and red, as in for different regiments. But I think there were some greens and yellows in there as well. But basically, all these guys are in the soft Montrero caps, jackets, and trousers. I couldn't see any buff on the buff jackets on the pikemen. I'm not 100%. I have to look at them in more detail. Here's my grubby. Oh, good God, Gav, your nails are disgusting. Oh well, close your eyes and just listen to what I'm saying. They've got like the little linen, almost like a pack that they could carry their consumables in. A small sword. In reality, not everybody had a sword. It just depended. Swords would come out of the soldiers' pay deductions, and just like the uniforms, really. Say they're given a uniform and they have to pay for it. Nothing changes in modern times. No musket rests with these guys for the period. They are carrying the matchlock musket rather than the flintlock, which was around in those days, but these were supposedly cheaper and more hardy to be given out to the troops in any quantity. These guys as well have got like the bag over the shoulder there, down onto the hip, and that is for the powder and shot. Whereas you will see in a lot of cases they've got the apostles, so the little wooden pre-poured out gunpowder into those little wooden apostles. These have just all got the bags. I appreciate you can't see a great deal because it's shiny metal, apart from my grubby fingernails. Should have worn gloves, Gav. But if you go over to Little Lances, I will leave hopefully if I remember, a link to his channel so you can see some painted examples. You get a drummer and a sergeant with these. I bought this more as a test unit, as I say, to see what they look like, as in, in my hand myself, rather than just seeing his Little Lances and other people's on the internet. So this is more or less, this is sold as a formed unit. I would suggest, if you're going to get that you buy one of the command bags. And in those bags, as you can see here, you will get different ensigns. Ensigns are carrying the colours. See this guy here with his hand in the air? He'll have a colour to fly around, to literally they wave around. They had, look, stave or the pole that the colour was attached to was a lot shorter than later periods, and they tended to like wave them around. So you get it as a commander there with a Montrero on. Doesn't have to have all Montrero. You know, I doubt very much whether. Yeah, maybe on the first couple of weeks they all had a fairly standard uniform, but I would imagine a lot of the times, especially with the officers, they wore whatever they decided they wanted to wear as they'd got the money to equip themselves better. Right, I'll just use this guy as an example, if we can get any closer. You will get mould lines down the arms and legs. It's a moulded figure, whether it's in plastic or white metal in this case. Mould lines you will always have, but they're not anything particularly to shout about. There's one there you can see on the just about on the inside. My only concern is will I be able to get my diamond files in there? I'll definitely get my scalpel, so that should be okay. I had one musket that had a halfway, like a break in it. I managed to catch that early, and I've super glued it. That should be enough for that, and it'll stand up to being washed and stuff afterwards. So all the figures didn't need much manipulation on the very small bases they've got, and I'll be filing them down slightly anyway. I would suggest though, the metal is quite firm. Obviously, the firmer the metal, when you are manipulating arms, and I've got a cavalry unit to show you in a minute, just be a bit wary that you don't snap things off like muskets. And I mean, the musket was a genuine break in it. However, on 15mm, you either have two choices. You either go for a lot larger, in this case musket, but a sword, anything like that, which tends to be thicker and out of scale, or you go for something in scale like this. I personally would prefer to have it in scale with the figure and just take the consequences that you might find the odd break in it from time to time. They came in the bags that you saw, but in a cardboard box as well with a few foam watsits in, so that it wasn't as if they weren't unprotected. It's just something when you're dealing with white metal at this scale, you may well find that you do get the odd bends or breaks. You've just got to be a bit aware of that. So my suggestion would be, at this scale, and it's not just Steelfist, it's at this scale in general, if you've got something that is as finely sculpted as this, before you start manipulating things around, just have a closer look if you haven't got any breaks already, because sometimes, like that musket, if you can catch it early enough, because there's nothing worse than trying to join one piece of metal to another with a piece of super glue. It never particularly works. And then what I would normally do would be cut the entire length of the musket off down to the matchlock, and then make it either with another piece of metal or even a piece of hard, like styrene plastic. That would be my suggestion. But if you just gently go through them early, just having a look, close up any breakages, you'll get the idea quick enough, and you'll be able to catch it and super glue it. But yeah, if my own personal opinion is, I would have, if couldn't have caught that break early, I would have literally cut the entire thing off down the side of the head down to there, and reformed one myself. So bits, there's the odd bit of like flash or whatever on there, which I expect some bits to run off. But no, actually quite impressed with those. Well, not actually. I already knew what I was looking at through looking at little lances, but yeah, nice. I like those. You also they do put in some brush bristles to use as pikes. A lot of people don't like stabbing themselves in the hands with pikes, or not bending them and whatever. I do prefer wire than these. It's not so much because these are flexible. It's more the case that I never find that my paint, even with lacquer primer on, it tends to be a bit flaky and whatever. So I will be using metal pikes at some point. I've actually got to get some. This is one of the several command groups that they sell. This is F5. So I'll look. Well, I mean, I have had a look, but we have a sergeant. All these sergeants were more or less like junior officers, I believe, as in they had a lot more expensive gear on the whole. but very nice classical pose there. I wouldn't have a problem putting these in if I wanted to with the Moncheros. As I say, especially the command groups, they're going to have officers that would prefer to wear like a broad brim felt hat rather than a Monchero. I'll just give you, and they do several packs of these ones at different ones. These are the ensigns, again, officers, short staves, stroke poles, and obviously then putting the colour up. Now the swords are very much in keeping with the muskets, as in they are fine, and like most white metal, quite bendy. Again, there's not much you can do about that. I will have a think whether I want to keep them or snip them off and replace them with something like a paper, not paper clip, staple that's been cut open and just shaved and pointed a bit. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I do like the command groups. Sergeant here, very evocative. We're on calling and things. As I say, I bought the main unit just as it was all there, because you can buy like units of shot or units of pike. But these guys, well, not these guys, but the unit I've just shown you was an already, pre-done unit, and I thought, well, yeah, we'll go with that because it'll just give me an idea what I want the figures to be posed at and look like. So we've got a couple of Montreros you could use if you didn't want to put any other than a Montrero cap. Got another drummer there. I'd like a couple of drummers probably. Another ensign. It came down to basing. These are my own bases. I haven't got them from Steelfist. This is a 40 by 40 base, and I'm only putting say 6 figures on. Finances wise, I can't go for like huge units, and I thought like putting 6 shot on, 6 pike, and then plus I usually have another, whether it's an officer, well, drummers were officers, but a drummer in those days, drummer, officer, sergeant, something like that, just to put with most of the different bases. So I thought of 40, but then I thought, well, putting them together, I'm not sure, because I'd leave a gap between. This would probably be a decent ones, just say 6 figures or 7 really, with an extra figure on. But I was wondering, I'd have to look at my base collection. I guarantee I don't have any, but I was wondering whether I put them all on one base, so the entire unit is just based all together, because then they are all in close company with each other, and I might well do that. I might well put all the figures on one base. I'm undecided. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then we've got the cavalry. So this is H12. Won't go through everything, but different poses of horses. I believe you get a couple of different bridles. You get some without the nose, I paint a lot of horses, but without actually knowing all the names. It's like Morecambe and Wise, all the notes just in the wrong order. I'm not sure what it's called, but the nose piece, the brace that goes over the nose. Some have got it, some haven't. And I looked at a lot of artwork, and that showed that as well. So no problems there. Some of the bases on these, when I sat them down, I don't know if we can see on that one if it's what it's going to do for us. That's not too bad actually. A couple of them were slightly dished. That's not a problem. So all I'm saying is, don't automatically think that your horse is canted over to one side or the other. It may just be that the base is slightly dished, and that won't particularly have an effect once it's glued down. Because you can manipulate it one side or the other without moving the horse. So as I say, you've got only 2 points of contact there. So if you have got to um, manipulate the horse in any way, because let's face it, sometimes you do get them bent over slightly from one side or the other, and I don't mean completely bent over. I'm just a slight lean. But I think some of these, it's just that like that's got a slight lean there, but when you manipulate the base itself rather than the horse, it actually does stand up. So I think some of it is could well be just the base itself. These have got bits of runoff still on them, so whether they'll sit properly for me, I won't go through them all. See here the swords. I mean, straightened out there. There you go. Once on a base, if you're somebody that picks up your figures instead of the base, what do you think you're doing? Pick them up by the base. But yeah, I'll decide whether I keep the swords or replace them. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But nice selection of poses on the horses. The only thing I always, and this happens with a lot of manufacturers of all scales, is when they give you a selection. I mean, this one isn't too bad actually. I was looking at them and I think, does it annoy me enough? And I just mean the poses. I don't know what you guys think, but you sometimes see this one's more of a walking pose, and when they're in a charging group, you've got some I would prefer it when manufacturers would put horses with more go in them. That's a technical word, but some are cantering along. I think that is a horse term. That is cantering. We'll go with that one. Yeah, if we got most of them charging along, it's better not to have a more or less walking horse in amongst them. I've had that so many times when you're buying a completely formed unit rather than buying singles. That's my only bugbear on that. And as I say, it's not particularly anything to do with the sculpts themselves. It's just when you get them in the bag, you do get a couple of walking horses sometimes, and it doesn't. In my own eyes, it doesn't look as good as when you've got another load of horses charging in the same unit. But yeah, I like again. I'm not going overboard in showing you the miniatures really up close because there's so much shine on the white metal. Obviously, at this scale, you're just not going to see the faces. But again, I'll leave a link to Little Lance's. Go and check his fine painting skills out, and you'll see that he picks the faces out quite nicely. So yeah, I'm assured that the faces look nice even at 15, because even at 15 mil, those of us look like small figures, and we still would like them to be as best as they can be. All that wants to do is show my grubby fingernails. So you wouldn't think that's a lot, Let's face it, sometimes we see these little faces that are nothing more than a pea shape with a couple of eyes put in with a piece of wire, but these are very nice. And again, with these guys, you get a mixture of headdress and buff jackets. You see how that sticks out there? It's a nice buff jacket, and he's got the lobster pot on the top by the look of it. Oh, come on, focus. And some have got, you'll get sometimes some with, I don't know on this, I haven't looked close enough on these, but some with breastplates, some without, some with just buff jackets. Until I look closer, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I mean, you get to see runoff here. That's going to be removed. Just be a bit careful you don't break the bottom of the sword off. And some with the guidon. Don't know if they're called guidons in those days, but again, really nice. I'd originally, when I was thinking of doing a nice little project like this as yet another side project, I was debating how I showed my units. Did I just pick individual units. However, I just, whether I just whatever I've decided I'd like to do. I mean, I'm going to do a royalist at the moment, but I didn't know whether I wanted to pick individual units from all around the country, or whatever took my fancy more or less. And I've been wondering whether I was reading up on different, some of the different battles, obviously, and the movements of different. And he said headsheds, like we would have called them in the army, but commanders. And I was wondering whether I did think of doing units that were formed around Prince Maurice, who was the younger brother of Prince Rupert, because everybody remembers Prince Rupert, and nobody really mentions Prince Maurice. And I thought I might do something. He was down, as far as I know, he spent a lot of the time in the West Country. So yeah, I might do units that were formed around Prince Maurice. We'll decide as I get closer to painting them. But yeah, I just thought you'd like to have a look. I'm looking forward to doing these really nice figures. I'm fairly used to doing small scale figures, as I said, do the Epic range and whatever. And yes, Epic do some very nice Epic scale pike and shot. But I have seen these since they came out, and I was interested in when I saw them painted up and based. I thought, oh, I've got to have myself a go at these. So yeah, nice sculpts, nice castings, enjoyable period. As I say, in my opinion, it's not a period that gets enough love anymore. It did used to in the old days, in the South, said 70s, 80s, it was still really big. But it seems to have receded now for other time periods. Personally, I'm a League of Augsburg fan, particularly 16. 16. Well, anyway, from Monmouth Rebellion, really, when King James II came on the throne. Very much, League of Augsburg fan. So, but I enjoyed the English Civil War as well, and so yeah, let's give it a go. So, another period, something else to paint up, something more for the boxes to hold, and let's see where we go with it. So, thank you very much for stopping by. You look after yourselves. Hopefully, we'll see some of these painted up soon. Again, a link to Little Lances on the channel description, video description even, and you can see some of his stuff painted up before obviously I get around to doing mine. So look after yourselves. Thanks for stopping by and taking a look. Things that are coming up soon. And just to give you a 15. Oh, I can't really, can I? Because this is not a mounted. Hang on a second. Then right. Let's just put one on a horse. Come on, Gav. I just wanted to show you compared to, say, the 18mm of AB. I've only got one mounted one because he's one mounted officer. But yeah, that's an 18mm Napoleonic, obviously, Würzburger, and this is a 15mm. So there is quite a drop down in size. So but yeah, so anyway, talking about the Würzburgers, they're not far from finishing now. Probably another 3 hours on them or so, and they'll be ready for a first varnish and a base. What else have we got? 40k stuff. A lot of you aren't really into that, but I've got the 40k channel up and running now. Thanks to the people that from this channel that came over and gave me a sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And you know who you all are, or most of you, or I know who you are. So thank you very much for that, because you didn't have to, and I appreciate it. But yeah, so there's lots of stuff coming up. I'm just a bit lost for figures all over the place at the moment. So I've got some, talking of Epic, I've got Epic coming up. That's it. I knew I've got more figures to show you that are finished. Yeah, so some Napoleonic Epic coming up, and another great period that I enjoy There's plenty of periods I enjoy, really. But the Marlborough Wars, War of the Spanish Succession, that was the word you was after, Gav. They're all painted and done and based as well. So thanks for stopping by and taking a look. Fair bit coming up on the channel over the next week or two. Look after yourselves.